Ladies and gentlemen, there are two ways to look at this. There are two ways to read. FBI reached out to, I'll just call this person like I usually do, an intelligence operative, because this entire charade, this notion that Trump committed some kind of crime with a phone conversation where he literally doesn't say, you will not get assistance unless you do this. My God, I mean, they look into everything. Anything's possible with Trump, but literally millions flowing into the Clinton Foundation, and then President Obama failing to veto the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. You cannot connect the dots, but my God, if Trump has a phone conversation, look out. It's game over. But here, FBI reached out to intelligence operatives' legal team for interviews. That's Fox News. FBI interview with, I don't even want to say it, intelligence operative with FBI seeks interview with intelligence operative who began impeachment inquiry. Washington Post. New York Post. FBI wants to interview intelligence operative in Trump impeachment effort. So, this is NBC News. FBI seeks to interview the intelligence operative. Let's read New York Post. FBI wants to interview intelligence operative in Trump impeachment effort. The FBI is reportedly looking to interview the intelligence operative whose complaint about President Trump's Ukraine call sparked the ongoing House impeachment proceedings. The federal agency has twice reached out to the intelligence operatives' legal team requesting their cooperation in a probe that appears to be in its infancy stages, but which the operative doesn't appear to be the target of. People familiar with the situation told the Wall Street Journal. Okay, it's unclear why the feds want to talk to the operative, and the agency didn't respond to a request for comment from the paper. The request from the FBI was described as a, quote, polite ask. Yeah, right. The operative, reportedly a member of the intelligence community, because he's an intelligence operative, filed a complaint on August 12th about Trump's July 25th call with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky, who, by the way, stated he was not pressured. So there goes the entire foundation of the impeachment. It rests upon Zelensky stating that he wasn't pressured. There is no foundation of the impeachment. The impeachment is that, okay, well, he tried to pressure the Ukraine. Zelensky states he wasn't pressured. It's just a whole bunch of diplomats who work for Trump, who work at the pleasure of the president, who work to further foreign policy of the president currently in the Oval Office. And so the whole thing is a complete theatrical performance and farce, just like the DNC debates that nobody saw because Clinton is going to be the nominee. I am the only person in all of YouTube and in all of media who not only wrote about this in the Huffington Post in 2017, the articles below, Clinton 2020 is a reality, get ready for 8 years of Trump, but I'm the only person who will have accurately predicted what's taking place. Nobody on that debate stage is going to be DNC nominee. It's only going to be Clinton. And when people say, oh, you speak too much about it, it's like, well, this entire charade, this entire farce, impeachment, Steele dossier, everything, Mueller, everything was to pave the way for Clinton 2020. But anyway, Bernie, kissing the ring, we can go on forever. But the intelligence operative, reportedly a member of the intelligence community, naturally, because he's an operative of that community, filed a complaint on August 12th about Trump's July 25th phone call with Ukraine's Zelensky, in which he asked for probes of Joe Biden, his son Hunter, and Ukraine's purported role in the 2016 elections, which were documented by Politico and by other publications. One very important thing, ladies and gentlemen, to understand. The Ukraine has widened its probe of Burisma, the same corporation that was funneling millions of dollars to Hunter. Okay, why is that important? The foundation of the legal case against Trump is that he was obtaining a thing of value. The Steele dossier is a thing of value in the election. Okay, that was an FEC violation. Okay, but we already found the DOJ concluded there was no campaign finance violation. So he didn't look into the future and say, Biden is my direct political rival. I'm going to investigate him and use the office of the presidency to pressure the Ukraine into investigating my direct political rival. Nobody believes Biden's going to be president. Nobody believes Biden's going to be Democratic nominee. No donors believe this, okay? If you're going to spend $353,000 a plate for a dinner at George Clooney's place to sit next to Clinton to eat salmon and drink some Merlot or a martini or whatever, and you spend $353,000. That's according to Politico. You didn't get that money because you lacked the brain capacity to think that Biden was a great candidate, who's, by the way, losing money now. Biden's not going to be nominee. Why do I keep repeating myself? It's not because it's not for my health. Biden's not going to be nominee because there is no political. The Democratic Party is not a political party. It's a political machine. Look up Tammany Hall. That was the political machine from the late 1700s to the early 19 to the late 1800s. You can look up the Democratic Party political machine in New York, but just look it up. This is a political machine. Okay? This is not a political party. This is a political machine that has tentacles everywhere, but also within the FBI. Now, the interesting thing about the FBI is that the interesting thing about Christopher Wray and Comey and the FBI in general is that, well, they'll hook Clinton up, they'll cover up her crimes, but then a week before the election, because the cover-up was so shoddy, they had to say, well, we found classified emails on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Sorry, Uma Abedin's husband. Sorry about that. Anyway, everything's fine. And that did more for the election than any Facebook ad. People who were going to vote for Clinton did not because of because of James Comey. They play both sides, a very Machiavellian thing to do. The FBI and Comey, Strzok, Brennan, Clapper, McCabe, these are they must have read Sun Tzu and Machiavelli. They play both sides. They know that if they have the goods on Trump and they have the goods on Clinton, well, then they can make out, and they can survive a whole bunch of, they can theoretically circumvent the legal repercussions of their own wrongdoing. The only problem, however, is that you could take my obsessive qualities and multiply them times 10,000, and you wouldn't get half of the obsessive qualities of President Trump regarding this issue. So Trump, when he goes to bed at night, he's like, "Man, call me, I'll get you." So they bit off more than they could chew regarding all of this. McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, Comey, Strzok, what they did was overtly utilize the United States government. That's 18 U.S. Code 371. I wrote about that in the Federalist. And all roads lead through Clinton. I wrote about that in the Federalist also, and Rush Limbaugh shared my article 2 days in a row on his show. The machine went off track, and what you're seeing now is very likely, and finally you could just say about 9 minutes into this, I would venture to say that the FBI is trying to find out. I would venture to say that the FBI is trying to find out information for President Trump. Now, I'm not certain. It could be Christopher Wray is trying to undermine Trump. It could be the FBI is doing the same type of thing. I find it very difficult to believe, though, because you have William Barr and you have John Durham. Looking at every movement now of everyone very closely. Now, this public relations ploy, Democrats are going to be able to engage in these public relations ploys. Oh, there was a complaint. Oh, this is just like John Kiriakou and Jeffrey Sterling and Assange and Snowden and Chelsea Manning. This is we have to protect this person. He's this person's speaking truth to the authorities and corrupt authority. And look, you got to understand something. At a certain point. They go off the rails, and then they use the Steele dossier, and then it's an overt criminal act where they hide behind protocol, they hide behind their government posts. They say, well, we had to utilize the Steele dossier. If it was purchased by Clinton, that's okay. It's raw intelligence. Well, we had to utilize Alexander Downer. If he's linked to the Clinton Foundation, that was also gossip and raw intelligence. Well, Joseph Mifsud, he provided raw intelligence. Everything's raw intelligence. Everything's cloaked in the semantics of some kind of spy novel. But it's not. It's the United States government being utilized by a political machine against President Trump. And he's winning. People say, oh, McCabe hasn't been indicted yet. You said Clinton would be indicted. Rome wasn't built in a day. But you have to also ask yourself, well, did they ever believe that Trump would be president? Then you're going to ask yourself, did they ever believe that Trump would go 8 years? Then you're going to ask yourself, did they ever believe that Clinton would be nominated yet again? This is a pattern, but the pattern is going to end eventually because the corruption is not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. So I think the FBI, 12 minutes in, before it was 9 minutes, I'm trying to get to the point eventually, the FBI is finding out who else spoke to this intelligence operative. Because when Vindman, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, was about to explain, who it is he spoke to and where that person worked, you get Adam Schiff. So we have to protect the identity. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You better not say anything. Then you get Vindman's lawyers and then Lieutenant Colonel Vindman himself saying, well, per instructions of the chairman. And then you get today or yesterday was like, oh, yeah, say Sondland, really, this was devastating for Trump. No, it wasn't. He does not know. Not one of the witnesses ever had any evidence that it was only gossip and hearsay. And then you have liberal publications saying, yeah, it's so what? As long as there's enough people saying the same things, we should impeach the president. It's like, that's not how it works. If you have 10 people in a company saying somebody did something and there's no evidence of that person doing something, that person was fired, they could sue the company. And you could probably sue the individuals personally. So, the whole thing's nonsense. If Biden is corrupt, his corruption is a thing of value inherently. It's a thing of political value inherently. Yeah, your opponent's corruption. You don't go into an MMA fight where one fighter says, "Gosh, I'm not gonna take you to the ground because you're not a good wrestler." That's that would be your Achilles heel. Why would I do that? No, you're a better striker than me, so I'm gonna go strike with you. No, I would never ever, take you to the ground. No. So, this is politics. What do you expect Trump to do? Just allow the Democratic Party to work with Ukrainian officials against him in 2016 and so he not fight back? What do you think? Who do you think he is? Bernie Sanders, who gets cheated and then spends the next 4 years promoting and propping up and spewing the same DNC talking points? DNC is not even, they try to say everything that has to do with them is national security. If they lose an election, it's national security. If anything hurts their electoral chances, that's national security. That's not the case. They cheated Bernie and they lost. Then they spent 3 years now, and it's going on 4 years, complaining, talking about how the sky is falling, the world is ending, Trump is ripping apart our democracy and the Constitution and everything. This is hyperbole that the Republicans used in the early 2000s, and then when President Obama was elected, it didn't help them. Now Democrats are using the same hyperbole and nonsense. It's not going to help them at all. The DNC debates were a complete catastrophe. An absolute catastrophe yesterday. Nobody saw them. Nobody cared. There's no front runner because Clinton hasn't entered yet. The only person who could possibly save the Democratic Party is Hillary Clinton. She is the only person who could possibly save the Democratic Party. Then you have people, willingly deceiving themselves. Well, Bernie can win. No, Bernie can win when I said he could have won. Not now. If everyone on the left was H.A. Goodman in 2016, you wouldn't have a corrupt Democratic Party because the DNC, the machine, would say we're done. We can't deceive anybody because they'll vote for Trump or they'll vote for Jill Stein and then move to Trump because of foreign policy. And I explain how you go from Bernie to Trump in the Federalist below. It's in the pinned comment. If foreign policy is your biggest issue, you want a scaled back U.S. foreign policy, then you vote for Trump. And then you say, hey, Tulsi Gabbard's an interesting choice in the Democratic Party. Then you get these ridiculous reports. Oh, the Russians like Tulsi Gabbard. Why? Well, she wants to pull back. She wants to scale back U.S. foreign policy. That's what the Russians want. So we should have never-ending quagmires just to prove the Russians wrong. You know what, Putin? We're going to stay in places thousands of miles away forever, and we'll show you. That's what the Democrats want. And you have people who have they've given up on their friendships for decades. Why? Because they're out of their mind, warped in contempt. They're miserable in terms of their contempt for Trump. You have people not speaking to each other, and it's never the Trump supporter. It's never the person who... You have people on the left who can't stand other people on the left because they don't dislike Trump as much as the other person. It's never the Trump supporter who says, I won't vote for you. I won't talk to you because you're voting for Clinton. It's always the Clinton supporter or the liberal or the left-leaning person who says, okay, how could you vote for Trump? Well, did he get us into a military intervention? Did he get us into a recession? No, quite the opposite. We have record low unemployment, and he's scaling back U.S. foreign policy. What's there not to like? Oh, his personality. Well, Clinton's not going to win any personality contests, but you voted for her. In fact, she pushed for Bush's quagmires. George W. Bush has a favorable view in terms of favorability ratings, as a favorable view among Democrats. So, I mean, you have to ask yourself the type of what's happened to the Democratic Party. It's complete. It's in complete and utter turmoil, and they've all deceived themselves. The I'm with her crowd actually runs the show, but then you have the I'm with her, the Medicare for all people that get stomped and trampled on, and then they just eventually think they're going to have a fair primary. This whole thing is nonstop. This election is even more rigged than the other one. But I think that the FBI is. Eventually, I'll get to it. The FBI is 18 minutes in. There you go, 18 minutes in. Just tell people 18 minutes in. I'll get to the point of this. I do believe that this is for Trump's benefit. I do believe it's for the president's benefit. When you have William Barr and John Durham, They want to find out who else spoke to this intelligence operative. Did Adam Schiff? Did other Democrats? Did Clinton? Clinton's team or people or whatever? What's the true motive? Because it's not national security. National security actually dictates that you should allow the president to run the executive branch and foreign policy. So these diplomats saying, "Oh, I think that what he did was wrong." It's like, who cares what you think? You're a diplomat. You're paid to just, be quiet and do your job, unless it's like, God forbid, a crime against humanity. You're just supposed to serve at the pleasure of the president, and that's it. These people are like, well, I don't like what Trump did. It's like, so what? You're not president. Go ahead, run for president like, Eric Swalwell, and do what you need to do on camera, which, by the way, that was Chris Matthews. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. I break that story about them breaking wind. So I tell the truth. It's Chris Matthews. It wasn't Swalwell, but believe me, I would have loved to have it been Swalwell. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. They're trying to find out. The FBI is actually trying to do Trump a favor. Maybe President Trump is, maybe the White House pressured Christopher Wray to find out what's going on. I really don't think the FBI wanted to do this. I really think that the FBI, it behooves them, especially since John Durham and William Barr have an ongoing probe. What they find out is almost certainly going to be very bad for Democrats. There's nothing normal about this. This is not like, oh my goodness, this is just like, Jeffrey Sterling and John Kiriakou. No. This is a whole different ballgame. And they're still trying to remove President Trump, all to pave the way for Clinton 2020. This is all about Clinton. It's not like, oh, why are you focusing on that? There's a direct correlation between Clinton, impeachment, the Steele dossier, and Bernie Sanders being cheated, which it's just a political machine run by two people, Bill and Hillary. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Thank you.